I know a lot of creators like to gatekeep how much money they make and how much money they spend, but I'm not that person. I'm very transparent. So I just got done spending an entire day, I look rough, I know, adding up all of my expenses for 2023 as a creator and business owner, and as well as how much money I made. I'm gonna give you all the numbers right here and right now. Now, before anyone makes their comments, which I know they will, the reason I'm making this video is one, a lot of people are just generally curious. They're interested in like what kind of money a creator can make, a creator my size, I should say, can make, and what kind of expenses come along with it. And two, I just feel like a lot of people think that, when you get to a certain point, you can just make money and it's fun and games, and it's not. There's a lot of fun to it, but there's a lot that goes in with the business side of things. And in addition to having a content creator and creator coaching business for the last 4.5, almost 5 years, I've also been a small business owner for coming up on 11 years total. So this isn't new to me. So for the full year of 2023, I made about $215,000. Where that money comes from is a combination of partnerships with brands across social media, AdSense revenue, my Creator Academy where I coach individuals and businesses, my work as a freelance social media coordinator and or TikTok shop manager for various brands. I'm usually working with a lot of different brands all at one time for extended periods of time, UGC, and this year specifically a salary that I had with a brand. There are also little bits of income from speaking engagements where I've been a keynote speaker at conventions, I've been on speaking panels, things like that. But that's where the gist of my money comes from, in case you wondered. Alrighty, so I have my stack of receipts here. I'm not gonna show you every receipt, of course. I'm just gonna tell you each category. These are like my main categories and then how much money I spent in them. Then at the end, I'll tell you the total amount. So for consulting, I spent $3,285.40. That's me taking classes from other consultants and coaches and just continuing education kind of stuff. Social media advertising, so boosting posts, creating advertisements, things like that, I spent $1,475.87. Updated production equipment, I spent $2,917.71. Updating my filming studio, both at my house in Florida and here at the house that I'm renting in Texas while my new one is being built, I spent $33,477.14. That's always my most expensive category just because anything like studio build related is always very expensive. So next year it's going to probably be even more expensive once the new house is done and I have to rebuild an entire new studio. Moving on. So my editing total is $1,920. That's when I've hired people on a freelance basis to help me with some of my backlog of editing when I'm swamped with too much work. File sending service, I spent $155.99. This is what I use to send large files and big amounts of files to companies and people for whatever reason. Business travel, I spent $2,359.40. This is to attend seminars, speaking engagements, business meetings, etc. when companies don't cover it for me. Business education materials, I spent $37.97. Social media business tools, these are some social media tools that help support some of my social media platforms. That was all kind of the same thing. I spent $158.34. Website maintenance, this is specifically for codyjayartistry.com. I spent $630.16 this year. Social media security costs, I spent $96. My grand total in expenses this year is $46,519.98. Keep in mind, for those of you who aren't super familiar with like business related stuff, small business taxes, etc., just because I have this amount in write-offs doesn't mean I'm going to use them all. I'm not going to use all $46,000. I don't need to. One, because I paid my quarterly taxes throughout the year, which I'm required to do so. Two, because you want to make sure that you're not writing off too much, and because there's a certain income level I want to stay at or above. So I'll write off a certain amount to adjust my gross income, and that'll tell me how much my tax obligation is. But then again, I already pay quarterly payments. So basically at the end of the year, I should either break even completely, like net zero, or I should actually get a little bit of a tax return for paying too much quarterly taxes based on how much I write off. I'd rather overpay my quarterly taxes and get a little bit of a refund at the end of the year than to underpay them and also not have enough deductions and then have to owe a bunch of money at the end of the year. So I hope this video is helpful to aspiring creators, someone who maybe started finally making some good money this year and you really didn't know how this whole thing works, or if you want to be a business owner or a creator, etc., all the things. Hopefully this video was helpful for you and just kind of give you a little bit of insight and clarity into some of the things you can write off and just what I do. And like I said, I've been a business owner for coming up on 11 years. I love it. Wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so grateful to be able to be, a full-time content creator and do all the things that I do on social media. And honestly, I love the business side of it and I love the taxes. I love everything. It makes you feel good inside. As always, I'm a very transparent person. So if you have any questions with, being a content creator or a small business owner, anything like that, just drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them.